Apple and Samsung have never once coordinated on a release date in history, which is exactly why the best time to buy an iPhone has almost nothing to do with the best time to buy a Samsung Galaxy phone. Two brands, two calendars, and watching only one means guessing on the other. There's a strategy that works underneath both, and it's the same no matter which phone you actually want. That part comes later. First, you need the two calendars because the strategy doesn't mean much without them. I'm Stephanie Carls from RetailMeNot, breaking down the timing, pricing, and strategy behind how retail actually works. The best window to buy a new iPhone lands about 48 hours after a new one launches, not on launch date itself. Apple announces new iPhones the same week every year, the second Tuesday of September, and that single date runs the whole rest of the calendar. Within a day or two of that announcement, the previous generation drops in price everywhere, Apple included, typically 10 to 15%. So if you want last year's model, that 48-hour window is the best time to buy a new iPhone that isn't actually new. If you want whatever's newest, there's a trade-off worth knowing up front. Apple's own Black Friday event has historically come as a gift card with your purchase rather than a price cut. The real price cuts on a current iPhone come from Best Buy, Walmart, and carrier trade-in deals from T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T. Apple's own site rarely delivers them. Whichever of those retailers or carriers you use, pair it with RetailMeNot. The cash back stacks right on top of whatever discount you already found. And always check the storage tier before you get excited about a price. A cheap-looking configuration is sometimes just less phone for almost the same money. Apple's very good at making 128 gigabytes feel like a personal insult. Samsung runs on a completely different clock than Apple, and it's worth knowing both, even if you're loyal to one. The best time to buy a Samsung Galaxy phone follows its own version of the same pattern. The Galaxy S series launches in late January or February, with the foldables, the Z Fold and Z Flip, following in July. The moment a new Galaxy S launches, the previous one drops in price, sometimes 20 to 30% within weeks. Exactly what happens to any flagship the moment its replacement shows up. The phone everyone was drooling over in February is on the clearance rack by November. If you don't need the newest one, the actual sweet spot is 2 to 3 months later, around Memorial Day or November for the deepest cut of the year. Samsung's own pre-order period is generous too. Storage upgrades and gift cards show up more at launch than any other point in the year. If you're shopping outside the Apple or Samsung ecosystem entirely, Google Pixel runs its own version of this same calendar. Pixel now launches in August, so Google gets a full month of attention before Apple's September announcement swallows up that news cycle. Same rule applies here as everywhere else. The previous Pixel drops in price the moment the new one shows up, and Google's own trade-in offers are some of the most generous in the entire phone market, especially if you're trading in an older Pixel. Knowing when to buy narrows things down. It doesn't finish the job. Where you buy changes the deal just as much. Buying straight from Apple, Samsung, or Google gets you the cleanest transaction. No carrier plan required and full control over color and storage. You'll usually get first access to any launch week trade-in bonuses too, if one exists. Carriers usually chase the biggest headline number through trade-in and plan bundles, but a manufacturer's discount doesn't come with a 24 or 36-month string attached, so a smaller number direct from Google, Apple, or Samsung is sometimes the actual better deal once you account for what a carrier deal locks you into. Retailers are where that competition actually plays out, and Best Buy's Black Friday deals on iPhone and other cell phones are the clearest example of it. Its headline ad almost always requires a qualified carrier plan and a trade-in stacked together, and that advertised figure assumes your trade-in qualifies at the top tier, usually last year's flagship in good shape. Bring in something older and you still get credit. It's just a fraction of that headline number, sometimes just a few dollars a month instead of the number in the ad. Target and Walmart run comparable versions of the same offer. Check RetailMeNot while you're comparing any of these. Cash back on a purchase this size adds up fast. Carriers are their own category entirely, the deepest possible discount on paper and the most conditions attached to actually getting it. AT&T and Verizon typically spread that credit over 36 months. T-Mobile usually runs 24, and all three forfeit whatever's left the moment you cancel or switch early. That's less a discount and more a very patient loan. One thing worth knowing, no matter which of these four you pick, most trade-in tools scan your phone's battery health as part of the process, and a battery that's noticeably worn down can lower your quote even if nobody's asked you about it directly. Remember those two separate calendars from the beginning, Apple and Samsung's? They turn into one shared strategy right about now. We've talked about manufacturers, retailers, and carriers, but there's a fourth option worth putting next to those: certified refurbished. Most people rule it out without ever checking what that label actually means. People hear refurbished and picture a scratched up phone from a random online seller. Apple certified refurbished, Samsung certified renewed, and similar programs from Google and the major carriers carry the same warranty as buying new. That's a different category entirely from stranger's old phone with refurbished stamped on the listing. The best time to shop refurbished follows the same trade-in wave as everything else here. A couple of months after a new flagship launches, the market floods with recent trade-ins, more selection, and fresher inventory than any other point in the cycle. The one thing worth checking before you buy: confirm that it's actually certified by the manufacturer or a major retailer. A generic listing that just uses the word refurbished often comes with no warranty at all. That distinction is the difference between an actual deal and a gamble. So how do you actually decide, buy the newest thing today or wait for the better price on last year's? Let's run it through my usual system. Buy it now, wait, and save. What I would buy now is last year's model, the one you can grab in that 48-hour window right after a new one launches. That's the cleanest, most reliable discount on this entire calendar. A retailer is clearing inventory on purpose, and you're just there when it happens. What I would wait on is the newest model itself if you can. A phone announced this month is not going to be cheaper next month. It gets cheaper at Black Friday or in that same 48-hour window next year when its own successor shows up. Optimizing every purchase sometimes just means admitting the thing you want isn't really going to be a good deal yet. And the save here is easy. Don't buy anything in the week or two right before a launch you already know is coming. That's a full price for a phone with an expiration date already stamped on it. And there's no version of that math that works out in your favor. Everything up to this point has been about when to buy. This part is about what you actually pay when you do. Know the real final price before you decide anything counts as a deal. Stack the trade-in, the carrier credit, and cash back from sites like RetailMeNot, since none of these three come from the same place and none of them cancel each other out just because they're stacked on the same purchase. Compare before you commit to. A carrier's free phone and an unlocked phone with cashback layered on top can land a very different final number. And the free one isn't always the cheaper one once you actually run the math. Free is doing a lot of work in that sentence. That's the difference between shop smarter, not just cheaper, and the version of shopping that only looks at the sticker. Quick checks before you commit to anything, whichever phone you're buying. Is it last year's model, right after a new one launched? Buy now. This is the cleanest window on the entire calendar for any brand. Is it the newest model and you don't need it immediately? Wait. Black Friday and that same 48-hour window next year both beat buying it today. Are you about to buy the week before a launch you already know is coming? Skip it. Nothing about that timing works in your favor. Trading in an old phone? Get quotes from your carrier, your retailer, and the manufacturer directly. They rarely match, and the gap is usually worth the extra 5 minutes it takes to ask. And are you shopping with confidence or just hoping that the banner's telling you the truth? Check RetailMeNot before you check out. Stack what you can and know the real final price before you decide anything is an actual deal. Retail has a lot of rules that nobody tells you about. We're just getting started. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next and grab the RetailMeNot Rewards app for more ways to save while you're at it.